Hey y'all, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Ayana, and today I'm going to be doing a story time. Well, tonight, it's like 2 o'clock in the morning right now, and yeah, I'm tired, but I am focused. I am like really trying. Well, I'm not trying. This year, one of my goals is to be consistent and to not procrastinate and to do what I say I'm going to do. That was 3 goals, but as they all like align. So yeah, if I say I'm gonna do a video, I'm gonna do a video, and yeah. So here we go. All right. So the story I'm gonna be sharing with y'all today. This is like one of the lowest points that I've been in my life. Like one of the my struggle periods, I guess you could say, that I had, and yeah. It's kind of like a little emotional. I don't think that I don't know how I'm going to react to telling the story, but whatever. And let me just say this, just to clear the record, this story is in no way to bash anybody. I mean, you're going to feel how you feel, and it goes for anybody. You're going to feel how you feel. I'm not bashing nobody. I'm not trying to down nobody. I'm not trying to play nobody, none of that. This is my story. This is what happened to me, and I'm going to tell it. And I'm telling this story because this was a very low point in my life. And it just goes to show that just because the time that, that moment may be bad, it's not always going to be bad. And it's not your story. It's not the end of your story. It's just a chapter in the book. So basically to keep pushing. So hopefully this story motivates somebody that's probably dealing with the same or maybe similar situation, or just dealing with something that's tough. Hopefully this motivates you or pushes you to keep going. So yeah, let's get into the story. All right, so remember I told y'all that I moved out of my parents' house at 18, right? So I believe that was in 2015. I moved out in 2015. So then in 2017, I think it was 2017, hold on. Yeah, so 2017, that summer, I didn't have to move back with my mom, but I chose to because it just seemed like it was the best option at that time. I had got fired from my job. I was working at Target, but it was not really like, I was just making my rent. So I would have really been living check to check. That's it, yeah. I would have been living paycheck to paycheck. It's the same thing. So yeah, and I was in dental school, a dental assistant school. So I'm like, let me just, move my mom. I could save my money when I finish school. I could just move back out, right? So once I moved with my mom, I didn't know how bad of a toll it was going to take on me, being as though like it's always been a thing for me. Like I'm never going back to my parents' house. Like that was my biggest thing when I moved. So I didn't know that it was going to take a toll on me. I thought like, okay, this is my decision to move back with her. Is not like I was evicted or anything. It's not like, it's just my decision to move back with her. So maybe I thought I was going to feel better. And I didn't. I ended up going through like a real deep depression, really, really deep depression that was like really unsaid. I didn't say anything about it. I started smoking, getting high every single day. I mean, all day long. All day long. Like 7, 8 times a day. Like all day long. It was crazy. I just remember like I was letting these guys do whatever, talk however to me because my confidence in myself wasn't high. My respect for myself wasn't there at all. And I just wasn't myself. Like I gained a lot of weight. Like that's probably the time where I really started to gain. I really started to gain weight like crazy. I think I almost hit like 200 pounds. Crazy. So, yeah. My mom like told me basically like I could stay there for up to a year or stuff like that. So all of that happened. I was in a dark place. It took me a while. Like I finished school, but I ended up having to quit my job in the midst of that. It was just so much going on, right? So I was like, just out of it. Anyway, All right, so fast forward to the next year. I was still living in her house, but I just got my job, right? I just got my job, and not only did I just get a job, I ended up finding out that I was pregnant. That's probably gonna be like a shocker to people who know me personally that a lot of people didn't know. And I kept it to myself because I was in like a real high stress situation. And my first pregnancy just wasn't the greatest. And also I was trying to keep it to myself to keep my stress levels down, which still didn't work. But that's gonna be another story time. I'm gonna tell you what happened with that. Another story time when I'm ready to. So don't ask because I won't tell you. So I found out I was pregnant July 4th. I found out I was pregnant July 4th of 2018. And July 4th, and I started my job. I think so July 17th, me and my mom got into an argument. And she actually kicked me out. And I didn't have nowhere to go. It was me and my son. I didn't know where to go. But I'm just like, I'm not going to deal with this. Like, I'm going to leave. Right? So I ended up putting all my stuff in my car. And I called my cousin. The same cousin from the first story, which is crazy. The same cousin from when I first moved out and I moved out of my dad's house. But I called her. She was like, yeah, you can come stay. Told her, like, I only need like a couple weeks. I just need to save. I just need to find a place. So my job, this is my I just started this job. I think that week that my mom kicked me out was my first paycheck. And it was like $300 because it was just training hours. So I really didn't have, that was all I had to my name. And yeah, it was crazy. Luckily, the job that I did have though, it was like one of those jobs where you could do like as much overtime as you wanted. It was no cap on the overtime, so I could make as much money as I wanted. So that was a good thing about that. So I used that as to my advantage. All right. So anyway, let me go back into it. I called my cousin and I went to go meet with her because she was gonna let me stay, but I didn't have no babysitter, so I'm like, I gotta figure out what to do. So I ended up having is my goddaughter, but I ended up asking her, like, would you mind coming to my cousin's house to watch my son for me, because I didn't have nobody else. Like, I didn't know what to do. So luckily she was able to like stay there. Like, she was able to be there for a couple of days, which probably I think turned into like a week or so. Yeah, it was like a week. So I'm so tired, y'all. I'm really trying to get this out. So what happened? So all right, so she stayed there, and I really was doing overtime like crazy. Like, I was working like 18-hour shifts, like really, really going hard, crazy. Like, I was so tired. And I just remember, like, then that time I was just so stressed out. Like, I was so stressed. I didn't know what I was gonna do. But I done told my cousin that I think I told her I was gonna stay there for 2 weeks. So I'm like, in 2 weeks I need to find something. Like, I need to do something. Something gotta work. So I was running overtime like crazy because, mind you, I got paid the day that my mom kicked me out. So I'm like, I need, in the next 2 weeks, this paycheck needs to be crazy. Like, great crazy. So I was really, really running it. And, like, I just remember, I don't know exactly, like, how I was thinking. I just remember I was cry. Like, I would cry every single day. Like, and I remember my job probably was like 25 minutes to 30 minutes away from my cousin's house. I cried every single day, every single night. Like, because I did the overnight shift. I would work 12 to 8. So I really would like bawl. And then, like, by the time I got to work, I just looked normal. Like, nothing was wrong with me. Like, nothing was happening. And I would be at work and I would be up like the entire time, like just looking for apartments and really doing like, really trying to find something. Like, I'm like, because my next resort in 2 weeks, it would have to be like, I would have to go to a shelter because I couldn't stay with her for too much longer. She had a 2-bedroom and she had her own kids, her own thing going on. So I'm like, I got to do something. And I didn't want to put my son in the shelter because it affected him. Like, when we moved to a new place, my son is affected. Like, he would probably have like nightmares. He'll cry all the time, like cry. He'll say how sad he is, how much he missed my mom, how much he just want to leave, he don't want to be there, stuff like that. So I try not to move him around too much. Like, I want him to be in a really stable environment, right? So I didn't want to go into a shelter because he wasn't going to be able to understand it. And I just didn't want to do that. Like, it just, I don't know. I was just so used to having my own. I'm like, I don't want to have to go to a shelter, and I don't know how that's going to be. I don't like people in my space. So I had to get it. So I was like really looking for an apartment. I was like contacting people, emailing people crazy. Like my call list was crazy because it wasn't like wasn't texting people like I would usually do. Like, hey, is it available? I'm calling them like, hello, is it available? Like, what's going on? How you doing? Can I come today? Can I see it? Like, what's going on? Like, I was on it. Mind you, and then at that time, my car was breaking down. Oh my gosh, that was just a crazy. Oh man, my car was breaking down. That drove every time I was started. It was just everything was happening at once. But I just kept thinking, I'm like, I don't know, like I was just in love with my pregnancy. Like, this baby is going inside of me. I got to do it for my son, my baby, like my kid. I got 2 kids on the way. It was crazy. But yeah, like I'm like, I just like, I don't know. I can't be like this. Like when I first found out I was pregnant, my dad told me I wasn't gonna be nothing. I wasn't gonna do nothing. Be living in the projects. I'm gonna be working at McDonald's, and I couldn't let his words become my reality. Like I'm like, look, not only do you have 1 kid, and you don't have no place to live. You are pregnant with your 2nd child, and you have no place to go. No money, nothing to show for yourself. Like you can't be like this. Like you're not about to do that to yourself. You're not about to do that to yourself. Like I really would have talks with myself. It was crazy. So I remember one day I was having like a real bad breakdown in a car, and it was bad. It was a real bad breakdown. Like I talk about ugly cry. It was bad. But I felt the baby move. Like I felt like these flutters. And I got like this real calming, like wave over my body. Like they just told me like everything is gonna be okay. Don't worry, everything gonna be okay. So I took that. I'm like, all right, we got it. Like we good. It's gonna be all right. Yo, the next day, my goddaughter had to leave. She had to go back home with her mom. So I took her home. And I went to work. I had to go to work. No. Yeah, so I took her home, so I had to figure out what I was going to do with my son. So his dad is not in his life. His dad is in and out whenever he chooses. And I had called him and asked him like, can you keep him for a week, because I really had to tell him like, can you please keep him for a week, because I didn't tell him my situation, but I just told him like I don't have no babysitter and I really got to work. So thank God that he agreed and he actually kept him for a week, because usually he'll say, I'm keeping him for a week. And then like the second day, he's like, you gotta come get him. So he actually kept him for a whole week. So that was good. That was great. So I dropped her off and I dropped my son off. I literally so I went to work right after that, right? After I went to work, my cousin, I didn't have a key to her house. But I had to, I was like working like that week. I would do like an 8 to 4, and then probably like I don't know, but I know I had time in between the shifts. So I know I wanted to like, mind you, I was doing my 12 to 8, and then I would do an 8 to 4, and then I would have like a couple hours. I wanted to run to my cousin's house, get washed, change, and then go back to my next shift. But when I contacted her, like to open up the door or whatever, she was like, she's not home. So I'm like, well, where are you at? Like, I need to get in there or whatever. And she was like, oh, I'll be there. So and so. It was like this game she was trying to play or something like that. Like I don't know. She was being real weird. So I'm like, well, I just need to get my clothes because like I gotta go to work. And she's like, oh, all right, well, I'll be there in a little bit or something like that. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to just sit outside and wait for you. Hours pass by waiting. Nothing. So I'm like, where you at? So tell me why. No, so she tried to tell me, like, go ahead and climb through the window. But the window was, like, super high. So I couldn't jump. And I wasn't, like, I'm pregnant. I'm not about to be trying to climb and all of that. So I'm like, I'm not doing all of that. Like, I'm going to just wait. Why she come walking out the house? So the whole time she was in the house. So I'm like, if it's a problem with me staying here, just say that. Like, don't do that. Like, I told you I had to go to work. I had stuff to do, and you got me out here waiting, telling me that you over here, you there, and the whole time you was in the house. And I know she didn't walk past me because I would have saw her. I was right in front of the door. But when I went in there to get my stuff, there's a guy in there. So like, you had company. You could have literally just told me that you something, but don't act like you not in there. Like, I was so pissed off. I didn't even say nothing. I just grabbed all my stuff, like everything I had. And it wasn't a lot. Like, I just had clothes. I grabbed all my stuff and I put it in my car. So now all my stuff is in my car. Like, and it's only, like, the whole back seat and the whole trunk is filled. So it's only the passenger seat and the driver's seat now. And I'm like, I didn't know what to do. I wasn't talking to my dad at the time. Me and my mom not talking. I had nowhere to go. So I'm like, it is what it is. Like, I'm gonna just go to work. I ain't even gonna think about it, y'all. I cried so hard. Like, oh man. Cause I could not believe, like, I was really homeless. And even though it was for a short period of time, like, it was just so emotional. Like, it was over. Like, I was always so used to being kicked out of my mom's house, going to my dad's house, kicked out of my dad's house, going to my mom's house, stuff like that. Where and then being used to having my own place, it was just so, like, let me just say it was a very humbling experience. Okay, let me use it like that. And I'm grateful that I did experience it because it set the tone for a lot of things, you know. So I had went to work or whatever. I'm like, I'm not even gonna worry about it. And I didn't have nobody to talk to. I wasn't, when I tell you I wasn't talking to nobody, I wasn't on the phone with nobody. Only people I was on the phone with was people for houses and stuff, apartments. I wasn't on the phone. No, I wasn't nobody, no friends, no family, nothing. I was bottled up. Everything was building, and like, I was just to myself. So it became a lot. Like, it really became a lot. So I just, damn, because that is crazy. So I started that night I just told my coworker what was going on. And like, she was a little older than me. So she just like offered, like, you know, if you need a place to take a shower, if you need a place to take a shower, or if you need to take a nap or something like that, then you could just always come to my house. So I'm like, that's so, you know, like, that's so, like, decent. So I went over her house because we worked the same shift every night. So I had went over her house, got in the shower, and I took a nap. I think I went there twice. But I just was so grateful for her because, y'all, I was really going through it. Like, I didn't have nobody. I felt like I didn't have nobody to turn to at all because I didn't. Nobody knew what I was going through. Nobody knew what I was going through. And it was crazy. Like, when I drive up the boulevard now, I literally remember, like, how many times I broke down driving and what I was thinking about doing to myself. Yeah, my face probably look crazy. But that really was a real emotional time for me. It really was. And like, I was really contemplating suicide, like, bad. And I would just cry so hard because, like, I know my kids need me. And I can't just do this. Like, I can't. There's no way that I would be able to do this. Like, it's crazy. All right, we're going to skip that part. So, you know what song got me through it, though? There was a song I used to listen to every single day. Rise Up by, what's her name? I gotta find her name. But there is a song called Rise Up, and I believe it's a gospel song. But I listen to that song every single day. That song really gave me strength, like, bad, because the words in that song was crazy. So, oh my goodness. Because you start telling the story and you really start to get, like I started feeling how I felt that time. And that was a scary time. Like that was really dark. Like it was just such a dark place that I was in. And it's crazy. It's crazy. So yeah. So it was one day, right? Within that same week. I think it probably was like it probably was like the 4th day of the week. My coworker, me and my coworker was sitting there because she was looking for a place at the same time too. So she was like, yeah, if you go on Facebook be having people on there or whatever. So I'm like, oh really? I didn't know that at the time. So she had showed me this house that she was looking at. And so I looked at the people who posted their page, and it had like this really, really nice 2-bedroom apartment for $750. It was, oh my gosh, it was so beautiful. Like it had exposed brick. It was just so decent. So I'm like, all right, I want it. So the next morning I called the guy or whatever. So I'm like, can I come see the property? He was like, yeah, you can come see it. But he told me like 30 minutes after I got off. So I'm like, I didn't like, oh, I'm about to get off. I didn't make no excuses. I'm there. Like, so I raced down the boulevard. I got there. Y'all, this house was beautiful. This apartment, it was so nice. So I'm like, I want it. But I messed up because I should have put the money down right then and there. He told me I could put down like $500 to take it off the market and everything. So I'm like, all right. I don't know why I waited, but I did, and it ended up selling that same exact day. Somebody else took it off the market the same day. So I ended up missing that. But he was like, well, I got something else. It's still a 2-bedroom, not far from that location for $650. So I'm like, okay, that's, it's a better price. Yeah, he took me to the apartment, completely trashed. But it was big, but it was trash. I couldn't really see the apartment because it was stuff everywhere. It was trash everywhere. It was like disgusting. So I'm like, well, when is it gonna be ready? So he like, we can have it cleaned up. We can have everything ready within like a week or something like that. So I'm like, okay, like, all right, well, I'll take it because I had no choice. So I gave him the $500 to take it off the market, and I couldn't wait. Like, I didn't have the money. I had to wait until like the Friday till I got paid to get all the money. So I didn't have all the money to put there. So it was one day I went to go pick up my goddaughter, and she was like, her grandma asked me, can I wash clothes for her? So I'm like, okay. Y'all ain't had nowhere to wash no clothes. I just said, okay. I didn't know. I'm like, maybe I'll just take them to the laundromat or something. So I picked my granddaughter up, my granddaughter. Mind you, everything is in the back seat. So I got her sitting in the passenger seat and she's holding my son. So my son came home. So I'm like, I don't know where to take this. So we just gonna go to my mom's house. My mom I drove past her house. She was at work because her car wasn't there. So I hurried up, put the clothes in the washer, let them wash or something. I think we sat outside. But once the clothes got done washing, I'm like, all right, we gotta take these clothes back to your grandma. So she's like, oh no, they're my clothes. So I'm like, oh, okay, well, let's go drop them off at your grandma's house. So she was like, no, well, I'm actually gonna be living with you. So I'm like, huh? And which I didn't mind, like, if I had a place to stay. If I really had a place to stay. But I'm like, huh? Like, I didn't know what to do. So when she said that, it was like 4 or something in the afternoon. So I didn't know what to do. Like, I was stuck. I'm like, okay. Now it's me, my son, my goddaughter, and I'm pregnant. And I don't have nowhere to stay. And I'm homeless. Like, living in my car, didn't know what to do. So, okay, gotta figure something out. I didn't have all the money to pay the deposit for my apartment. The apartment wasn't ready. So what I did was I texted my sister, I texted my cousin, and I asked them could I borrow the money, and I sent it back to them that Friday when I got paid. So they said, yeah, they sent it to me. they both sent it to me. So I called the guy and said, excuse me, like, I need to move in now. Like, today, now. Is there any way I could come and pay the full deposit and I take the apartment as is? And he like, he was like, let me call you back. I'm gonna check with the landlord because I'm dealing with the agency. I'm dealing with property managers, not the actual landlord. So he's like, let me call the landlord and I'll see if that's okay with him. So he called me back like 5 minutes later, like, yeah, you could do that. Just come down to the office. But we closed at 6, so hurry up. The office was like on 2nd Street. So I had to race down there. Then I go in there and I got all this cash. I went to the ATM to take all the money out. Got all this cash, go down there. And he's like, oh, we don't take cash, we need money order. So luckily it was an Acme down the street. So I ran to Acme, literally. And mind you, I got my kids with me. Ran to Acme and I get the money order. But I don't think it was like, oh, I missed out something. I don't know. I needed another money order. So I had to run there again and go do it again. It was crazy. It was like a mess. Like, it was just so much going on. So I did all of that, y'all. God is good because he processed everything. He gave me the keys and we was out. And like when we went inside the apartment, it was like, first of all, before we went there, I went to the store and I got us a box of noodles because that was what we was going to eat. I didn't have no more money. No more money. Do you hear me? None. I used every single dime. Plus what my cousin and my sister sent me to pay the deposit. I had nothing at all. At all. And this man was so nice. He was so nice. He must have knew because he saw like I was desperate. He seen it and he didn't live too far from my apartment. So he was like, if you could meet me, I'll give you cleaning supplies. Because I didn't think about that. Told you the apartment was trashed. He's like, I'll give you cleaning supplies. This man gave me a broom, dustpan, a mop, a bucket, bleach, like a couple other things he gave me. I was so grateful. I took that, went into the apartment, and y'all, it was summertime, so it was hot. And I was pregnant. It was so hot. I didn't think about the electricity. I didn't think about nothing. We needed a place to stay. So when we went in there, it was so hot. Nothing was on. We didn't have no air conditioner. We didn't have nothing. So I'm like, damn, I can't have to stay here. I couldn't stay here. I couldn't breathe. My son got asthma. I'm like, I can't have him in here like this. Got to get the electricity turned on tomorrow. So my mom was at work. So we went back to my mom's house. I went in my sister's room and locked the door and we slept in here. I know my mom get off at 7. So 6 o'clock in the morning, y'all, we was out. We was out. She never knew we was there. So went back to the apartment. We was cleaning up. Like, y'all, it was stuff stuck all on the floor. That apartment was trashed. But I didn't care. I did not care. I called I'm on the phone with Pico. Pico told us that property was banned. They can't put electricity in here. Da, 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 da. I was pissed off. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, so I called my dad. You're going to come get this. Can you please come down here and get this electricity on because they telling me this and that. Can you do it illegally? So he like, yeah, he comes down there. He like, it was already tapped. Y'all, why does man go inside the freaking circuit, the box, fuse box, or whatever it's called, and flip the switches and the electricity came on? We could have been in there the night before. I was so irked. So, well, I wasn't, but I was. Because, like, dang. But he turned that joint on, and it was done. Y'all, I ain't have to pay no utilities, okay? It was lit. So, it really was decent. It was a good deal. But, y'all, I was so grateful. We ain't had no beds. We ain't had nothing. Nothing. We slept on a bunch of blankets on the floor. Like, and we was cool. We really was cool. Like, no problems at all. I think my car waited to like a week or so after I moved in to fully break down. Which I was still grateful for because at least it wasn't when I really needed it, you know. That was just like really one of the hardest times of my life. One of them. It really was. It was a very down time for me. Like, it was such a humbling experience. Very, very humbling. Very. I learned so much about myself. I'm so resilient. Oh my gosh. I am so resilient. It's ridiculous. Man. Yeah. It's crazy. Because I remember that check. Oh, that was the biggest check. It was crazy. I think in that job I was getting paid $11.18 an hour. Y'all, my check came out to be like $2,000 and something dollars. A little over $2,000. That's how much overtime I did. It's crazy. Crazy. But I did it, and nigga, we made it. But yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to share that story with y'all because, I don't know, like, I just wanted to share it with y'all. And hopefully I can take out the ugly parts of me crying because that can't go on there. That was just... This is going to be a good year. This is going to be a great year. But anyway, I hope that if y'all watch this video, like my mom, anybody, specifically you, my mom, you know what I'm talking about. You watch this video, don't feel no type of way. I don't feel no type of way towards you about it. That was something that I had experienced. It was a part of my journey that I had to go through in order to grow. I needed it. And it definitely got me off my ass. And it pushed me to do things that I didn't even think that I was capable of doing. So I am grateful for the experience. And I'm gonna say this to y'all: like, you dealing with something that's hard right now, it's challenging. You feel like you can't get through it. You feel like you just want to give in and give up. Don't. I promise you. And deal with it in the like highest spirit that you could possibly have, and deal with it. And like, don't really deal with it, but go through it and allow yourself to feel these emotions. Allow yourself to really go through it and experience it and be present in a situation. Because a lot of the times we go through these hard moments, we are in our heads, we out of our body, like we out of ourselves, and we tense. Relax yourself and really be in yourself and really hear what God is trying to tell you and teach you and put you through, because those moments, those trying moments are going to be like the, I don't want to say like the best moments, but they're going to be the most important. There you go. The most important moments of your life. They're going to be like that. It literally makes you who you are, like, or who you're going to be, who you aspire to be. Like, those moments is the moments that matter. Okay, so go through it gracefully. Like, I'm as happy as you possibly can. Always try to be happy and don't give up, because that's not the end at all. At all. Like, what? Yo, I thought I was done. I thought I was done. I'm not lying. I really thought, I thought it was over. Like, I'm like, there's no way in hell. I thought it was over. But let me go ahead and end this here. I'm exhausted. I hope that y'all enjoyed this story time. Yeah. Definitely got more coming for y'all. I have more ways to be videos coming for y'all. Let me know down in the comments what kind of videos y'all want to see. And I'll try to make that happen. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe and make sure you give this video a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for tuning in.